Start game now.
Welcome, retro fans, to another edition of the No Swear Gamer. Today we're going to continue our ABCs of Retro series with the letter V. Now, last time I gave you this hint, it's like LoJack for bigger vehicles like Van, because today we are going to review Vanguard for your Atari 2600 system. Vanguard, don't leave your mystery machine without it. It will protect you. Yep, we're going to look at Vanguard today. Looking at the box art, it kind of has this kind of Star Wars Death Star run going on underground when you look at the cover, which is very fitting because you will be spending some time intergalactically underground. Box art on the back, nothing too much. You got your screenshot. But where the game really excels is at the manual. Really dig all these full color manuals. And check out this illustration. Now, initially I thought this was the last guy, the main boss, but no, I think this guy right here, who looks like he came from the NES game Life Force, is actually this little guy that looks like a space larva. Yeah, that's quite a transfer there, isn't it? Well, anyways, let's go ahead and see if Vanguard for the 2600 is as great as this illustration. Let's roll that footage. Vanguard was an arcade game in 1981, brought to us by SNK in Japan and Centuri here in the United States. Atari brought it over probably in 1982 or 83. It says 82 on the packaging, but sometimes these games were delayed getting out to market because of the production time that it took. So even though a game might say a certain year, it may not hit stores until the following year. So I actually kind of think that this game came out in 1983, not just because it makes more sense because the turnaround would have took some time, but also because they actually referenced the year 1983 in the manual. Based on the manual, you are a member of the Vanguard Expedition, whose goal is to fly through the tunnels of the planet Ataria to find a city of mystery, with streets paved with silver, and it's also ruled by the giant god. To succeed, you will have to destroy swarms of aliens and enemies and God himself. You know how it's common in science fiction movies for aliens to come to Earth to kill all the people and steal our resources? Well, now it's our time to go to an alien planet, kill all their people and take their resources. Go Earth! Vanguard is a horizontal and vertically scrolling shooter for 1 or 2 players when they take turns. That's right, this game was groundbreaking in the fact that it introduced not only the side-scrolling aspect, but to the best of my knowledge, it introduced the idea of switching perspectives from both the vertical and horizontal sides. You see, at the beginning of the levels, you are given a map, and when you proceed during the map, depending which way the map goes, your screen will change. So one way you are flying sideways, the next way you're flying up and down. Very cool, I thought. A very kind of innovative kind of take that I wish would be explored even more today. I know Thunder Force 2 on the Sega Genesis, I believe, did that, but it's hard to really think of too many shooters that took this approach. In the arcade, Vanguard also helped introduce the idea of continuing. Back in the olden days, when you went to an arcade and you popped your quarter in, when you died on the last guy, if you put another quarter in, you would start all the way back at the beginning. But in Vanguard, both for the arcade and the Atari 2600, you could continue. Of course, at the arcade, it would cost you a quarter, but on the 2600, it's free. They give you unlimited continues until you get to the City of Mystery. At that point, you no longer get continues. So once you get past the first map, you can go on to the second map. It's slightly different. And if you are able to succeed on the second map, you won't have any continues. They'll just recycle the first and seconds over and over again. But yeah, still cool that you could use continues in this game. However, you cannot use continues in the 2-player version. Now, in Vanguard, you are controlling your ship and you have several weapons at your disposal. Actually, you have one main weapon, but you can shoot it 4 ways. That's right, Vanguard can shoot 4 different directions. You can shoot up, down, left, and right. And it doesn't matter which way you're scrolling, whether you're going vertical or horizontal, you can always shoot all 4 directions. The arcade took care of this by putting 4 buttons on the cabinet, 1 for each direction you would shoot. So you had the up button, down button, left, and right. The 2600 had to do a little bit of playing around with. And actually, this game is very affected by the difficulty switches. There's actually 4 different variations. 2 of the variations basically has you shooting all the time, but if you press the button down, you stop shooting. And the other two variations have you shooting only when you press the button down, and when you depress it, you stop shooting. And it depends how you play with the switches. I found that putting the left in position A and the right in position B, where I was shooting, and I believe it shooted forward automatically, but you could also use your control stick to direct where it was shooting, worked best for me. But some people would be surprised that, yeah, if you played Vanguard, there's different ways you can shoot based on the difficulty switches alone. Yep, they're just used for the directions you shoot. However, when you shoot in Vanguard on the 2600, your ship slows down. There is also energy canisters for you to find in some of the levels straight out of the Mega Man series. I guess Mega Man must have visited planet Ataria. So, yep, in Ataria there is Mega Man canisters that look just like Mega Man. Really surprised me. You touch those, you become invincible, and while you're invincible, you don't shoot, but anything you touch is destroyed. You can even fly through walls, which would have otherwise killed you. Graphically speaking, the game is a little bit of a mixed bag. I would kind of grade this above average for the 2600. You have large, colorful levels, lots of rainbows all over. These underground caverns are the most brightest, rainbowish caverns I've ever seen. Yeah, you have these rainbow colors going throughout the entire game as you go through, and you have several enemies. So unlike other games where you only had a few enemies, Vanguard has quite a few of them. Now, they're very simple in nature. Some of them don't really stick out. They're very generic. For instance, this one enemy looks basically like Birdo eggs from the game Super Mario Bros. 2. If you remember the eggs that Birdo would spit out at you, it just looks like a whole cluster of them coming all around you. In another level, there's these things that kind of look like the alien larva. You know, that snake thing I was showing you at the beginning. Now, an interesting gameplay mechanic I'll touch on with these larvae is that you can dock with them. That's right, by touching these larvae, you dock with them temporarily and get a whole bunch of bonus points, but you can only do it 3 times. If you try and do it a 4th, you will die. What's going on? Why are you getting bonus points? Are they bribing you to carry alien eggs that will soon hatch and destroy your ship? But why 3? I guess that's all your ship can fit. Yeah, the manual doesn't say why you get bonus points, but you do. And then after you deal with those guys, watch out. Down comes the falling Atari 2600 joystick controllers, or shovels, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, so the graphics are a little bit of a mixed bag, but it was cool that they had variety. Now, at the end, at the City of Mystery, you will meet the giant Gond, who looks like a overweight snowman who ate way too many Hostess snowballs, which thankfully are now back on store shelves. Yeah, Gond is very disappointing. It's just a pair of eyes, and that is it. And also, when you come and attack him, it's also a little disappointing too, because if you're just shooting, you will defeat him. Now, if you try not to shoot him and try and take your time, you can actually earn more points by how long you last. But I didn't dare try that with this boss, especially since there was no continues once you reached him. Speaking of music, there's not very much as far as sound and music goes. For the most part, sounds like generic Atari 2600 space shooter sounds. However, when you touch the energy canisters that come straight out of Mega Man, you become invincible and a song plays. Now, do you recognize it? At first, I thought it kind of sounded John Williams-ish, kind of like a Star Wars kind of thing, like a generic Star Wars. But then I discovered it's an actual song. It's Voltan's theme from the movie Flash Gordon, whose soundtrack was made by Queen. That's right, this game has a Queen song in it. Now, I don't think they got the copyright for this. I think they just kind of put it in and turned the cheek, so to speak, hoping that no one would call them on it. But yeah, play this song right next to Voltan's theme from Flash Gordon, and you'll discover that there is a Queen song in the 2600. Did you know Queen had a 2600 song? I bet you didn't, but now you do, and aren't you glad you watched today's episode? So yeah, sounds are rather average, but that you do have the kind of cool little trivia there. Now, the family-friendly wise, it's a pretty family-friendly game. You're just blowing up aliens and stealing their stuff. So yeah, go you, way to go, because Earthlings are allowed to do that, just not aliens and vice versa, right? But is it any fun? Is it worth our time? Well, here's the deal with Vanguard for the 2600. when I play a shooter, it's a side-scrolling or vertical scrolling shooter, I'm so used to being able to shoot and move quickly, but this game reverses it because whenever you shoot, you move very slow. And I found this to be very frustrating, counterintuitive to what I'm used to. This is one of these cases where the genre has gone ahead so far that's made the game a little less enjoyable. It's really kind of hard to go back home. I'm sure at the time this was quite amazing, especially because most shooters on the 2600, space shooters, were just single screen shooters like Space Invaders, right? And you did have your defender that went side to side, but this, man, this really broke some ground. So it's very advanced for the 2600, but it's just not that much fun. I didn't like having to move so slowly, and the controllers were very hard to get used to. Now, in the best of all worlds, you would have dual analog sticks, so you could control shooting with one stick and your direction the other, but of course this is the 2600 controller. I think they did the best that they could with the controller. There's no way you're going to get two controllers together unless you use some sort of special hookup. So for what they had to work with, they did fine. It was playable. It just wasn't that much enjoyment. Now, if you want to buy this on eBay, it is really cheap. Loose copies went for about $4, and that includes the shipping. Complete copies were going for about $10, and I even saw a couple new copies being sold between $10 and $15. So it's very, very affordable. But would I recommend it? Where would I rank it? Well, I don't think I would recommend it unless you are a hardcore Atari 2600 collector. But for most collectors, what I would say is this. If you get it in a lot on accident, try it out, play it, because this game is enjoyable for about 5 or 10 minutes. It's one of those games which is fun to play through once or twice. But then after that, I just kind of lost my taste. I didn't have much of a desire to go back because I was guessing I would get with the continues and all, past the first level, maybe into the second level, and that was about it. And outside of that, I didn't really have fun. I just really didn't like how slow the ship moved. Now, I'm sure some people really enjoyed this game again because especially when it came out, it must have been quite something else. But today, at least for me, it's not going to be that high. So do I like it better than Tax Avoiders? Of course. Do I like it better than Urban Champion, which I just reviewed in my last episode? Well, Urban Champion, I think I enjoyed for 60 seconds. This game I enjoyed for 10 minutes. So yes, it's going to go right above Urban Champion. Yep, right there, my new number 26 game. So there you go. Vanguard for the 2600 is ranked number 26. What do you know? All right, so there you go. Oh, it's time for today's Vanguard haiku of the day. Here it goes. It was groundbreaking, but it was also quite slow. Vanguard shoots 4 ways. There you go. That's today's haiku of the day. Next time, we're going to continue our series with the letter W. And here's the hint for next time. It's a rare, unique primetime game. A rare, unique primetime game. Thanks again for giving me a little bit part of your day. As always, please consider liking and subscribing. It means a lot to me. You can also follow me on the Facebook and on the Twitter. Recently on Facebook, I gave away some codes to some early demos of Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS. So you never know what you're going to find on my Facebook page, along with other cool photos and old video game ads and stuff such as that. Anyways, this is the No Swear Gamer signing out saying I look forward to seeing you next time right here.